So December 26, 2021, it's usually quiet. It's the day after Christmas. People are still home from work, spending time with their families.
The earliest reports about what happened at the Texaco station on December 26, 2021 was that there was a shooting and 3 teenagers were killed.
This is not a whodunit, ladies and gentlemen.
There's no doubt who killed these 3 young men. Abel Acosta. The only question is, where is Abel Acosta? Because we don't know where Abel Acosta is, Richard Acosta is paying the price.
Based on surveillance footage, Acosta was believed to be his son's getaway driver from a Texaco gas station. Abel Acosta, Richard's son, is still at large.
So in watching the surveillance video, Xavier Gonzalez was the first to arrive to the Texaco that night. He was 14 years old at the time. He drove himself and went in, and you can see from the surveillance video that he went straight to the taco stand and placed an order for food. Ivan Nayola walks into the Texaco, shortly followed by Rafael Garcia.
Surveillance footage shows someone walk up to the Texaco gas station. He's shirtless, he's wearing a mask and a hat. He opens the door. Four people in total were shot, 3 fatally.
There's a tremendous amount of surveillance video that the Garland Police Department is able to acquire.
As they're watching the surveillance video, they're able to tie that shooter to a white truck. You can see that the driver exits the truck, goes in, and makes a purchase right at the counter.
And of course, we find that person later to be Richard Acosta, Jr.
Late in the afternoon on December 27th, a day after the shooting, Richard Acosta went into the Garland Police Department.
Hey, it's my truck. I saw it on TV. I saw me on TV. I'm here to talk.
Richard was booked on suspicion of capital murder, Texas's highest criminal charge, and immediately taken into custody.
There is one question at play in this trial. Did this defendant intentionally promote or assist his 14-year-old son in killing Ivan Nayola, Rafael Garcia, and Xavier Gonzalez? The driver of the truck, you learned, had come in and made a purchase, correct?
Yes, so he came in prior to the offense and made a purchase, some Tylenol tablets. That receipt was not taken and was thrown into the top of the trash can. We later received that receipt and followed up on that in an attempt to identify who that person was.
Is that receipt that you pulled?
Yes, it is.
Did you learn that person's name?
Yes, I did.
What was it?
It's Richard Acosta.
It appeared that a plan was hatched when his dad got back into the cab of the truck after making his purchase.
Abel is looking around, and he's pointing inside the store. Richard points inside the store as well.
One of the things we were able to uncover with Abel, he did have associations with Ivan and Rafael in the past. They may have all even been associated with a group or a gang, and that at some point in time, there was a split.
What do you notice about the trucks?
The truck is it's driving slowly. People call it casing the location. We're driving by to look at the location to get as much information as you can.
When Richard pulls the truck back around to the front of the store, what you could see from the camera angle looking at the back of the truck is that Richard never took his foot off the brake. You could tell because of the lights, he didn't put his truck in park. And it's when Rafael turns his back to the front door, Abel jumps out of the truck and begins his sneak attack. Right here, we just saw Abel leave that door after the shooting. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And he's about to get into that truck?
He is. The brake lights go off, which means our foot has been taken off the brake pedal, and then the vehicle starts to accelerate away from the location.
There's a marking on the side of the truck. Was that of interest?
Yes, ma'am, and that would definitely be an identifiable feature of that vehicle.
And when you saw the truck on 28, this is what the truck looks like.
Yes, ma'am.
You notice anything different?
The identifiable black marking on the side. had been attempted to be removed.
Scuff mark was there at 7:30 p.m. on the 26th when the offense occurred, and is gone at 6:30 in the morning on the 27th.
Garland police investigators used search warrants to pull cell phone records for Richard Acosta, Abel Acosta, his son, and Richard's wife and Abel's mother, Adelaide Dean.
What do we see here?
We're seeing a Google location hit, a Wi-Fi hit in the vicinity of the Texaco.
Whose device is that sitting off the Texaco?
Richard Acosta Jr.'s device. And now we see it moving northeast at 742.
The records for Abel Acosta Jr., Adelaide Dean, and Abel Acosta all appear to be in the same area of that home base.
That is correct.
If there was a different explanation for what Richard was doing, it would have to come from Richard Acosta himself.
The jury's gonna always wanna know, what were y'all talking about in the truck? You tell me why you drove off. Sitting in your car, and you first hear those first shots, what do?
Well, my natural reaction was to, get down.
When he goes in shooting, you're still down ducking.
Yes, sir.
He opens that back door, what if anything does he say?
He says, go. He says, get out, somebody's shooting. He goes, get me out of here.
At that time, did you know who was shooting?
No, sir.
When he goes in the store, he's jovial with the clerk. He's smiling. These guys come in, no contact with them whatsoever. There's absolutely nothing that would lead you to believe that a murder is going to take place. What happens when you get back in the car?
I guess when I walked in, the guys had looked at me, and he asked me, what did those guys tell you? I said, nothing. I go, do you know them or something? And he said that they knew who had his necklace.
Did you want to inquire about who had the necklace?
Yes, sir. As I start to turn, my son's telling me, hey, Dad, let me get off real fast. And I told him no. As soon as I start going, he acts like he's gonna open the door, and I grab his shirt. I told him just to, relax.
At some point, you agree to let him go in?
Yes, sir.
When he puts the mask on, is there anything unusual about that?
No, sir, he wore a mask. COVID was still going pretty good. People wore masks. People didn't wear masks.
Before he dashes out that car, at any time did you see him with a firearm on him?
Never, sir.
Now, at some point the next day, did you wash your car?
Yes, sir.
There's no reason for you to try to wash the car off, right?
No, sir.
Your wife's sister lives in Fort Worth, correct?
I don't know where she lives, ma'am.
You had your wife's phone, did you not?
Yes, ma'am.
If you had her phone, then you are aware that her sister was texting during that time, we say, or going to Fort Worth to find Abel with her after.
Possibly.
Then I guess it must just be a coincidence that your son's social media account was also pinging on Fort Worth.
I can't tell you that, ma'am. I don't know.
The prosecution, during their closing argument, reminded the jury that actions speak louder than words. The actions that Richard Acosta took before the shooting and after the shooting happened show that he was responsible as the getaway driver for his 14-year-old son.
This grown man took his 14-year-old son. He encouraged, he directed, he aided in the execution of those three boys. They never saw it coming. And this man gets his son out of there, gets rid of the gun, gets rid of the phone, and makes sure Abel is safe. Find him guilty of capital murder.
The verdict came back a little more than 2 hours after the jury started deliberations.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Richard Acosta Jr., guilty of the offense of capital murder as charged in the indictment.
Richard Acosta Jr. was found guilty of capital murder. And under Texas law, his punishment will be life in prison without the possibility of parole. His son Abel, meanwhile, continues to be sought by law enforcement, both in the United States and Mexico.
Abel Acosta went in that store to execute 3 people. He's always going to be actively sought after.
All 3 families, for them to get the guilty verdict, I think was relief that Richard's being held accountable, but still under extreme despair and stress and worry and anxiety because Abel's still out there.